in his absence, including a win over Sacramento last night. According to Steve Nash, the Nets won't put any pressure on KD and are not trying to rush him back in any capacity. Chris, do the Nets need to bring back KD into the mix before the All-Star break?
Well, obviously they don't need him back to play well and win games, but they do need to get their big three on the floor as much as possible. It's just as simple as that. And I understand that Kevin Durant is easier to drop in a lineup than maybe any superstar in the league just because of the nature of his game and his skill set. However, it still is an adjustment to drop a 30-point score onto a team because he's going to take 18 to 22 shots. That's going to take shots away from other players, mainly the role players. And, so things will have to change. Steve Nash has to get used to his rotation with Durant on the floor. How do the Nets look defensively with Durant on the floor? So, they've played 7 games together. They're 3 stars. And as impressed as I am with them, and I'm very impressed with Brooklyn, I cannot imagine them stepping into the playoffs having played 21, 22 games together as the big three and winning the championship. It's just hard to fathom. It's just something that's never been done in the history of basketball. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's hard to think they would win. So if I'm the Nets, I want to get my 3 superstars playing as many of these games going forward as possible. I'm not sitting anybody out just randomly. If they're legitimately hurt, fine, but I got to get those guys on the floor. So for that reason, yeah, they need to play the big 3 together.
It would be hypocritical for me to say that this is an important thing after saying that the Lakers playing the Utah Jazz in February isn't all that important. So I can't go to the wall and say, absolutely, KD has to come back and play before the All-Star break. But to Chris's point, yeah, there's some things to be worked out here. And I know there's kumbaya among the big 3 in terms of sharing the ball and sharing shots and all of that. The reality is the longer KD's out and the more comfortable Kyrie gets taking 25, 30 shots a game, the harder it is to put that horse back in the barn and say, you know what, there are going to be nights where you're only going to get 17 or 18, especially if they're having success. It's going to be, well, wait a minute, why do we have to rework this thing? And again, I believe that they can have a meeting of minds, and offensively they can straighten it out. The most important thing is how good can they be defensively? And again, the Nets fans out there who've hammered me for bringing this up, their defensive rating, look, yeah, they've turned it on at times. But defense and playing defense is a discipline. You can't just do it for 6 minutes, 8 minutes. You can do it during the regular season and win games that way when you're as offensively potent as they are. But when you get into playoff games, you have to have the mental toughness to play defense for long, long stretches when your offense may not be spot on. And they need to develop that muscle collectively over the course of the season. I can't just see it at moments and say they're capable of it. They need to believe in it. They need to believe that they can win games with their defense, because what we've seen is that, it's a tried and true thing, but the reality is you're playing for a championship. There are times where your defense is going to have to carry you. The offense against the best of the best isn't always going to click. They need to develop that and that belief in themselves that they're capable of playing that way. And the more opportunity they get, the better.
I was walking down the aisle and I saw the Rick Bucher Frosted Flakes and the Chris Broussard Fruity Pebbles, and I didn't buy it. I didn't grab the boxes. I didn't want that cereal today. I don't want it. I'm not going to take it. I like how you saved Chris Broussard, because I was going to spank him because he did say something totally different for the Lakers and what the Lakers need to do. And it ain't no must-win situation, and they don't need to have this and all that. But yet we got to have KD out there with Kyrie and James Harden as much as possible. I found that to be a little bit
Our boxes are together for a reason, LeVar.
Hey, listen, I don't know which one of y'all is Kobe and Shaq in this situation, who's the down low force and who's the guy up top that's facilitating. I don't know. It looked like, Rick, you were Kobe right there. But what I'm going to say right here with my man J-Mac, because I know he's with me, is that in this situation, basketball is one of those sports where as you're getting healthier, you can simulate a physical practice. You can simulate what your body's going to have to go through going up and down the court, shots-wise, running to play defense, running to play offense. One thing's for certain, if there's a team that we're looking at in today's NBA right now that could get away with not being a prolific defensive shutdown team, it's the Brooklyn Nets. This situation right here with KD coming back is purely KD wanting to come back and contribute. It's not because they need the wins. It's not because they need to play together and oh, it's going to be hard to put that Kyrie Irving horse back in the barn after he gets shooting all them shots. That's not what this is. KD is watching his team ball out. They're having fun. That everybody thought that, oh, how can James Harden come to Brooklyn and be what he needs to be? He's been a cancer everywhere else he's been, and nobody does well. He's not going to dish the ball off. He's not going to be a guy that facilitates and takes less shots. Oh, but he is. He has been that guy. Assist guy, assist leader? Whoa. Okay, so when KD comes back, KD's just sitting there like, man, I want to get some of this too. I want to get in the mix 4 games before All-Star break. I just want to get back on the court with my boys. It could just be as simple as that. KD just wants to get back on the court. That's it. There's no tinfoil theory, conspiracy theory, X-Files, all that stuff. There's nothing crazy here. KD just wants to play, and I think he's enjoying watching those guys play. He wants to get some of that. No rush. It'll happen when it happens, and there will be enough shots and enough assists and enough shine to go around for all of them.
I mostly agree with Broussard that dropping KD in is not going to be a problem. He'll fit in seamlessly. And, you know, Rick made a good point about Kyrie Irving having to take a step back. That's like, I think, the #1 storyline to watch in the second half of the season. Once KD's back, how cool is Kyrie going to be being the third wheel? But I also want to point out the Nets quietly waived a couple players yesterday, and they're going to start to make some moves here. I would not be surprised if they try to get in the Boogie Cousins situation. They need to get bigger on the inside. And so, Rick, I do believe there is going to be a lot of tinkering going on with the Nets here over the next month or two. And, you know, I do believe, Chris, they're going to probably go into the postseason. My guess would be under 15 games together for KD, Harden, and Kyrie Irving. I would not be surprised if they're just messing around, resting guys. Because, listen, we know they're going to coast in the first round of the playoffs. Second round will be a bit of a challenge. And in the finals, probably against, you know, the Bucks or the 76ers. I'm just telling you, the Nets are going to be a work in progress the rest of the season. I don't think it's a massive issue, though.
J-Mac, are you aware of is there going to be another shutdown? Do you know of something that's going to happen that they're only going to get 14 games in?
What's the rush? He's coming off an Achilles. He's got a hamstring now. Like, what are we doing? Why are we rushing Kevin Durant back?
J-Mac, they played 7 games in the first half, and Harden wasn't there for a while. Right. Kyrie went AWOL, and KD's been out with COVID and a hamstring. You think they only going to play the same amount of games over the second half of the season? Let me address LeVar first and then get back to J-Mac. LeVar,
yes.
The Lakers have won a championship together.
Fair.
Okay?
Fair enough.
Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving have played 7 games together.
Fair enough.
So it's a big difference.
It's a new team.
I can't, yes,
it's
they need to be on the court.
Broussard.
I'm not saying.
That is not the same team. That Lakers team is different.
But your 2 stars, your 2 engines are the same. Okay. And that's all. And then most of the role players, not all, but most of the role players, coach is the same. They got a new coach, not only a new coach, but a first-year coach at any level. All right? They got 3 superstars that have to blend their game together. They have to figure out how they're going to play on the defensive end. And I'm not saying it's a must that they come back in the 4 games before the All-Star break. But J-Mac, they had better be on the court more than 8 times over the second half of the season? Are you crazy? Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni better not be thinking the way you are. That would be a travesty. That would be a fireable offense if they think they can play those guys 8 times together over the last 40 games and get to the finals? No. They better be playing them together as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get past my hunger after LeVar took us down the cereal aisle and get back on this. But to your point, Chris, I think this is a really important element here, which is it's as important for Steve Nash